Welcome back to everybody at the table. It's Monday morning. It's Yolanda, and it is another episode of Everybody at the Table. I'm not going to hold you long this morning. We're going to jump right into part two of our conversation with Celeste Turner Hall on Should We Fear AI? Last week, we discussed what this thing is, what the newness of AI is, which for many of us is new, but it's also been in adoption for the past 10 to 12 years at mass scale and now has pretty much layered into our entire human engagement with the things that we do. So this week we're going to jump right back into our conversation and discuss some of the things we need to learn practically about how to engage this technology, and then what should we fear about it? Like, what should we be concerned? When I say fear, I don't mean afraid, but be concerned and diligent about what understanding as we engage and as we see adoption in our society. Take a listen.
Tell me some of the tools that you are using. You said you use three, at least three.
Yeah.
So what are some of the tools that you're seeing and you're using, particularly in your daily life
So I
around
use,
generative AI
yeah,
or
so I
professional
use,
and professional life? Like what helps you professionally or
yeah.
personally with generative AI?
So on a daily basis, I use Perplexity and ChatGPT as well as Copilot. So on a daily basis, and I literally will run them at the same time. So if I'm sitting at my desk talking to you, I might run the same question across all three to see the
Right,
answers, right? So
right.
I use them regular. I use Canva, and then also the other thing is AI is built into so many things.
There's so many
My
things.
new
It's built into QuickBooks now.
Exactly. It's built into it's built into so many things. So even when you're not using generative AI intentionally,
Hmm.
you will find that it is playing in the background. Even when I do a search on Google, I look at the generative AI response on Google.
Yes, I do too.
You
I do
know,
too.
so when I say I use daily, those are the four tools plus that I use regularly. Then also, I told you that I just moved into a new role at this company called Aptian, and the reason I moved into that role was because they were doing some really cool things with generative AI, agentic AI workflows, and they also have tools that I use to create agents and things of that nature to do work for me. So literally talking about an efficiency message, something that would take me a couple of days to do, I can do in a couple of hours because I'm running those three Gen AI platforms, right? So I just talked about
Right.
Perplexity, ChatGPT, and Copilot. And then I'm running an agent to do other things. And then I bring them back together and decide how I want to use what came back to me. So I'm not searching, doing those lengthy Google searches anymore. I'm not even, the best way to describe it is I'm prompting, but as I'm prompting these tools, I'm writing basically a brief of what I would write down if I was going to give to an agency or an
Exactly.
employee, and
Yep.
it's becoming like my virtual employees.
Absolutely. So my company has limited us to Gemini 2.5, and anything on the Gemini platform. I'm mad about that, but I still have my chat on my phone and all of that. But you remind me of an example I used with one of my team because I'm evangelizing my team members down to the individual contributors around using this stuff in their work. A, to help them. B, to plan to prepare them for what's coming. And like you, I'll run, through Gemini or through chat in our conversations and then quickly say, make me a process map or process flow, really showing them how these agents can really help you. But it still takes a human to digest the information. You're saving yourself so much time of having to do the putting together of the information and making it pretty and all those other things, but I still need to interpret it. I still need to speak to it. I still need to understand it. And a human is the one that's presenting it versus not an AI tool, right?
Yeah.
And AIs can be wrong,
Yes,
people.
AI definitely hallucinates, but what starts to happen is as you train your AI. So let me just tell you, I won't say which one, but one of the tools that I just mentioned was horrible in terms of its ability to give me what I wanted. So it took a lot of time. I will say the one that was great. Perplexity was great for me, like
I'm gonna
great.
tell you, me and Chat fight. You said you're not gonna say. I'm gonna say ChatGPT. We fight
But
all the
now,
time.
chat gives me, it understands it. I put a style guide. Chat, this is who I am. This is how I talk.
Right.
This is what I'm looking for. And I started to train it. I'm like, and I say, go back to my personal style guide. This is how I want you to, it even calls, I even say, what's up, chat? It goes, what's up, Celeste? Like, it gives me back, and
Celeste.
now it understands how I work, right, and what I expect. So it started to really learn me. Perplexity was very different, but Perplexity and the way that it's built, I use it for a
I
lot
have
of
not used
research.
Perplexity. I'll have to.
It
I'll have
will.
to.
It's amazing.
Okay,
Okay.
so we talked about AI as a threat. How we use AI in our daily lives, how we can prepare ourselves, right, for what's to come. Because you are a globalist, because you are a futurist, let's talk about the dangers of AI. But what are some of the concerns as you, because you're really tuned into global affairs, what's
Yeah.
going on in the world, especially as it relates to politics and a lot of these bad actors? What are the big red flags that you're concerned about with AI?
So I'm not as much concerned about it thinking for itself, right? Because there's a theory that, and people are working on this, right? So you have the generative AI, and it can, create things for you, right? Then you have what you're starting to see about agentic AI, a lot of autonomy. It can do things on its own. It doesn't need human intervention in the same way, which is, general intelligence, where it's like basically a human, right? Human brain functionality really doesn't need you. And then there's ASI, where it surpasses the human brain, right? We're, in my opinion, far from AGI and ASI. However, it is completely possible because it's based off of the neural networks that are wired into a brain. And so I always say AI needs guardrails for a few reasons. One, because we need to guard against bad actors, right? And we see bad actors, right, who are in control of some of this stuff. I think I saw an article not too long ago where it said Meta said it was okay for AI to pretend or initiate certain types of relationships with kids, right? There are all these things that we see. We see data coming in through sources that we know have bias, like Reddit. Like, have you ever been on Reddit?
I don't even go on Reddit. It's like Twitter to me, and I just
Right,
don't care to be
exactly.
there.
So you have that. You have all of this stuff, right? And you're like, okay, but there are no guardrails. So that's the main concern, the guardrails on use, right, of our personal
Right.
data, and how AI is being used could be used against humanity, right? So that's my concern. And the organizations and entities that we expect to protect us aren't necessarily looking at AI, at least in this country, looking at AI in that way, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, if you think about all the sci-fi movies that we all see, because I always say, listen, sci-fi is really somebody who thinks about the future and what it could be, right? And that's a lot of what we do, right? So that's what I thought about in this call is like, so we have the Jetson scenario, and then we have this
Right.
dystopia, like Dune, even though it's in the past, future, whatever, where the world's like a hot mess and it's gray, or you know what I mean, or like Transformers, the red robots are taking over. That's an extreme version, but in both versions, what we see is that there is a rise of an autonomous robot economy, right? And what that means is, there's already an AI citizen, right, in the UAE, right? And that happened years
Really?
ago. So you see this rise, right, of all of these robots. And without guardrails and controls, what will the rise of robots and an autonomous society, right? So say we reach AGI. Say we reach the level with agentic AI that is reasonable to assume that AI and robots have high autonomy. Say we do. If there are no guardrails on that, what's the impact to humans? What's the impact to the environment? How do we then control humanity and make sure that it prospers? So that's my biggest concern. In terms of like possibilities for the world, so the world is going to change, right? My biggest concern from that is the rise of pollution in the world. If you believe in like greenhouse effects, if you believe in global warming, that is a potential accelerant for that as well. So I'm less concerned about if people will figure out how to make money or how to make a living in this world, because they will adjust. I'm more concerned about the impact of all of this automation, these big data centers, all of this stuff that makes the AI run on the world around us and humanity. And if we're only thinking about it from a commercial aspect, yes, it drives, efficiency. Yes, it's cool. Yes, you can do X, Y, and Z. Yes, they can think for us to be thought partners, all this other stuff, right? But I always go back, but humans live on this planet. So how do we ensure that the planet remains for humans?
So you hit on you softly hit on my concerns, and that is the bad actors. It's already happening, and that's misinformation and fake news. We saw it in the 2016 election with Facebook and bad actors flooding Facebook with all of that bad information, using AI, fake videos, voiceovers to pretend people are speaking that aren't really humans and actual persons. And my big concern is that we are not educated enough on our media to understand when we're getting things in the social media world, what's real and what's fake. And here's the concern I have, and I know people are looking for machine robots. I told my interns this year, and they were like, wow. I'm like, I'm concerned about the human robots. The humans who are not being sophisticated enough, savvy enough, intellectual enough to know when they're being used and being, played with information and fake items that they're just getting out of the social media sphere without validating, without knowing if it's real. It's so much fake people, fake influencers. They even have fake creators now.
Yeah, fake models, fake everything.
Completely, yes, fake everything. And so that's my biggest concern, because I'm not as concerned about you building a bunch of robots to attack me. All you got to do is feed 100,000 people January 6th fake information and create your own robots that do exactly as you class them to do, because people are not thinking with their head. Final thoughts, Celeste?
I agree with what you said. We are in charge. We created this. Like, humans created AI. What we have to learn how to do is just, in any innovation, we're talking about AI, but also I like to remind people that there are other innovations in this wave, like biomimicry, like clean vehicles. There's so many other innovations in this wave that we'll see impacting us. We have to embrace it and understand. Please read. The one thing I was like, educate yourself, right? And don't just read what's on your social media. Don't just read what's published in the US. Read abroad. Read what's happening over there in Europe, in Asian countries. Understand a bigger picture. Open your brain, because that really will make the difference. And the last point, Yolanda, I always say, that capitalism pyramid's like this. There's a bunch of people down here and only a few up top. To your point, the people down here, they don't take advantage of their mass voice. They don't take advantage of being this huge group of people that can determine if those people up there actually can make money. Because without people buying from all of these big tech vendors and all of these other places, they wouldn't literally not be in business, right? I mean, they would still take government contracts. They would still get government contracts.
Today.
Listen, the world is always changing. That is the one constant, that change will happen. And as we approach this new technology, this new wave, I hope this conversation has helped to prepare you and give you additional knowledge in how to move forward. This will be one of many conversations that we have on this subject because I am really inspired and also intentionally navigating how we elevate and educate the community on the opportunities that lie ahead and how to adopt to this change. Adopt and adapt to this change. I heard a story this week of someone that used AI, who is Gen X, and used AI to do a whole business proposal for a grant. And for that, I am so excited and grateful that we are learning, that we're engaging, and that we're not going to be left behind in the table community. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you. Hit the comments with what you're learning. Maybe you have some tips that can help some of the fellow listeners. Would love to hear back from you, how you engage or what help you need. And maybe we can bring some of those conversations to the table in the future. Thanks again to my dear friend, Celeste Turner Hall, for joining me for this conversation. She's such a Renaissance woman that we'll have her back to talk about more things and other areas of her expertise. Really appreciate her for showing up at the table. All right, until next time, take care and dine well.